Mark. What's up guys, Jason Lore here with Jason Lore Photography and Film. So if you guys see my last video on what's in the box, you guys will know I just recently purchased a new camera for my arsenal of photography and filmmaking, and that is the Canon EOS R, my first ever mirrorless camera too, so I'm pretty excited to try that out. In fact, I decided to take a trip out to old Sacramento and did some photos around the buildings and the streets and just wanted to try out what it's capable of. And I'm not going to really talk too much about the text and specs or photo comparisons with my old cameras or with other cameras. So you got other brands like Sony and Nikon and all the other brands that also make mirrorless cameras, but I will share with you guys the reason why I bought this camera. The timing was perfect. Right around 9 o'clock when I got there, the sun wasn't up too high to where it was too harsh or too much overwhelming for all the photos. So I was able to get some good shots of the buildings, a lot of the bikes and the Christmas tree and the train. So for me, it was definitely a great day to go out and do some photography. All right, so what do I think of this camera? So definitely love it, and here's why. So first things first is the electronic viewfinder. So basically this viewfinder on this mirrorless camera, like all mirrorless cameras, is that what you see through the viewfinder is what you're going to be getting. So let's say if you're shooting in the shade, right, and it gets a little too dark, you can adjust the aperture, shutter speed, or the ISO, whatever it is you need to give you that amount of lighting to where the picture is gonna look the way you want it to be. And then once you snap that photo, that's exactly what you're gonna get. The old DSLR cameras, the optical viewfinders, you're not gonna be able to see what you're gonna get. You're gonna see an image that looks like it's perfect, but then once you take that photo and you look at it, you'll notice that it's a little too underexposed or too overexposed. And so that's where you have to adjust the settings, the ISO, aperture, and the shutter speed to where you'll get the photo you'll need. But here's the thing with the optical viewfinder is that you're gonna have to keep constantly checking after every shot to make sure that the lighting's good or the angle is good, and just until you get the right shot and the right lighting and move on to the next. That can be pretty frustrating, especially if you're on a schedule. But like I said, with the mirrorless viewfinder, the electronic viewfinder, you're gonna see what you're gonna get. So the only thing you have to worry about is just if things are in focus. And speaking of focus, you actually get some pretty good autofocus on this camera. So with some firmware updates, you can actually get some quick autofocusing. So I've actually noticed that it focused pretty well on certain objects that I wanted to be like the main focus. So that did pretty well. There are a couple of times, or actually a few times, where I did have to manually focus myself. So there was a picture of the Christmas tree, but the thing is that instead of focusing on the Christmas tree, it was focusing more on below it, so like the Christmas presents and kind of the brick road, and then that kind of leaves a little of a blur to the actual Christmas tree itself. So I had to switch off to manual focus and just focus on the tree myself. Not really a huge deal because in the past, like, having to do manual focusing myself, I've actually gotten pretty good at it too, but it's just, if it could just autofocus on what I really wanted to be the main focus, that would have been great. But again, it's just fixed that way to where whatever certain objects is closer to the lens, it'll focus more on that. So I wouldn't make a huge amount of deal out of it, but a majority of the times though, like the autofocus is pretty good. So I'm gonna stick with that. Being lightweight, it's like it's less stress on your shoulders or less stress on your hands when you're carrying it around. The only thing that gives it too much weight is the lens that I use, which is the 24 by 70 millimeter 2.8. So that is a pretty heavy lens, but it's to me like my all-in-one lens. So as far as like zooming and close-ups and lighting goes. And that's another thing too, speaking of lens, is that you have to buy an adapter, a lens adapter for this camera if you're using EF or EFS lenses. So they're not going to be compatible with this camera unless you get a lens adapter. For me, I bought the lens adapter made by Velo, which I'll do a review on another video, but so far it worked pretty well. I was able to get some good shots. The lens was stably intact to the camera, so didn't have any issues with that, and I was still able to get some pretty good shots with my 24 to 70 millimeter camera lens. So definitely love the results. All right, so the image results. So these are all 30 megapixel pictures, so these came out pretty well. So like the picture earlier where I was trying to focus on the tree, but then the autofocus was focusing more on the presence and the brick road. So even with that being the case, it's like the tree from a wide angle shot, it still looked pretty good in focus. It's just when you zoom in more, that's when it starts to break apart a bit. But because of the 30 megapixels, that helped make a difference too, or that helped with the clarity as well. So just a little bit of touch up on your editing program will definitely make this an easy fix. So battery life. So how much did this consume throughout my whole 2 hours out there shooting these photos? So for the battery life, it actually lasted pretty long. So I burned through half of it, and I was able to get at least a good 300 to 400 shots, and that's actually pretty good compared to what a lot of people have said in their experience with their battery lives. So for me, half battery life of like just going through 300 to 400 photos is not that bad. So I could have gotten more photos out of it too had I stayed out there a lot longer. And then the cool thing about these batteries is that they're the LP batteries that you would use for your Canon 60D, 70D, 80Ds, and your 6 and 5D. So if you still have those batteries, definitely keep them, because the Canon EOS R uses the same batteries, and so far I've only used my old battery. So the brand new battery that came with this camera has not been touched. And like I said, if it's because of the used batteries that burned through half of it from 300 to 400 pictures, just imagine what a brand new battery would do compared to an old and used battery. So definitely think about that. All right, so overall review, I love this camera. I love what it can do so far. Yes, so far, because there's actually a lot more you can do with this camera as far as capability goes, setting goes. So you can do a lot with this camera. I loved how the images turned out, and I would definitely wish that I was out there a little bit more to take more photos. But overall, yeah, with 30 megapixels, you're gonna get some pretty good quality pictures. And with the electronic viewfinder, you're definitely gonna be able to take photos a lot faster knowing what you're gonna be getting. It's a lot lightweight and compact, so you can carry it with you at ease, and also fit more equipments in your camera bag with the size and weight of this camera itself. So definitely, I've already seen like so many thumbs up for this camera. Again, batteries. If you have batteries from your old DSLR cameras, like the LP camera batteries, it works for this camera too, so it saves you money there. So is it worth the price? I absolutely think so. This is a 2-year-old camera. It came out in 2018, and right now we're in 2020, so it's been 2 years, and you know, it still holds up to its value. If anything, of all the videos and pictures I've seen online, as well as like the pictures I've taken today, it absolutely is worth the price. Again, it was $1,600 when I bought it. It may have gone up or it may have gone down depending on how old this video that I made is, but it's definitely a really good price. It's definitely more affordable than the Canon EOS R5, which, you know, it does have a lot more features and capabilities to it, but the EOS R actually has all that I needed in it, and I can honestly say I am actually pretty happy with what the EOS R can give me. Everybody has their own art, they have their own you know, style, and it comes down to, you know, what works for you. So that's the reason why I didn't really go into comparing this camera with other cameras, because, you know, after seeing all the comparison videos too, they're not really that much of a difference as far as like image quality goes. Like if you really look into it, then yeah, you can see a little bit of the difference, but is it enough difference to where you're gonna spend like another extra few $100s, you know, to upgrade to that, you know, that camera? Yes, no, but then, you know, it's hard when, you know, you're on a budget too, so you have to look at that aspect of it. But otherwise, this is definitely, again, a camera worth investing into. All right, so if you guys have any more questions about the Canon EOS R, definitely leave them in the comments below. And if you guys want to check out any more of my upcoming projects, you can check me out on Facebook, Instagram, and also my YouTube channel. And if you guys haven't done so either, definitely click on that subscribe button, so that way you can get notifications of any new videos or any new projects coming up. So until next time, this is Jason Lohr with Jason Lohr Photography and Films, bringing you art, stories, and entertainment.